Hi, and welcome to the course. In this course, we'll discuss and learn Node.js in depth, and actually not just Node.js, but also more backend and software engineering related topics. You'll learn where Node.js shines and where it's not going to be a good idea to use it, and why is that, and what would be some of the other solutions you could pick. You'll learn about pretty much all advanced Node.js concepts, and learn how they really work behind the scenes. You'll learn how to create fast, scalable, secure apps that could be used by millions of users. And you'll learn how to deploy them, how to set up infrastructures that could handle that much demand. Now, you might have seen that a lot of Node.js applications are sloppy and don't usually work well. It isn't because Node.js is awful, it's usually because that in the world of Node.js, JavaScript is just a tool. Now, I know that all programming languages are just tools, but in Node, it's more like a tool. And no matter how great you know JavaScript, maybe you are a true expert in it, and you are a master of all the advanced topics in it, you're not going to be able to create solid backend applications with Node. Unless, of course, you also understand things involved with backend engineering. Now, let me give you an analogy. In drawing, for example, we use things like different pencils, maybe with a variety of colors and different kinds of darkness. You may use a special pencil sharpener or a special graphite eraser. Well, these are just tools you use to create awesome drawings. And no matter how great you know how to use these tools, you're not just going to be able to come up with great artworks, great still life drawings. You have to be a master of the fundamentals of art and drawing to be able to do that. The core and essential concepts, and also a good deal amount of practice and creativity. Now, if your final software would be like the final art drawing, then JavaScript would act kind of like your pencils, erasers, and other tools. So if you're a master of JavaScript and you come to the world of Node and backend development, and you think you could just pick up Node with some packages like Express and spend some time and learn them too, and boom, all of a sudden, you're also a backend developer. Well, it absolutely doesn't work that way. Sure, to be a great Node.js developer, you also need to know JavaScript pretty well, but it's just one requirement. You need to know how networks work, how scaling works, how multi-threading works, how the operating system works, like how they manage processes and so much more. You need to know databases, deployments, and so forth. Front-end developments and back-end developments are a lot different. There are so many things in back-end development that you don't even encounter in front-end JavaScript development. You need to know a lot more than just JavaScript and a couple of simple packages like Express. Now, a lot of developers of these Node apps that may seem to be very awful come from the world of front-end development, and they just pick Node with a couple of frameworks and libraries, and they may think that they are also now a backend engineer and they could start to develop software with Node. And well, they just won't work. It might be buggy, slow, it might just go down in production for no obvious reason. Now, when it comes to learning Node, I am strongly against learning it with Express or other frameworks and libraries. Now, don't get me wrong, they're great tools, and I think you should use them in production. Well, if you haven't created one specifically for your own project, of course. They could be good tools and help you develop features a lot faster in most cases. But when it comes to learning, there are awful tools to learn right off the bat when you're learning Node. They hide so many things behind them. You're not going to see how networks really work, how Node is communicating with your database, and so much more. It's really important to first understand the fundamentals of backend engineering in general, to first get and understand the foundation knowledge and core concepts of Node. And then, that would be a good time to pick a library or framework like Nest or Express, Malter, Mongoose, Socket.io, etc. If you don't do that, you will never be able to create incredible backend applications. And what if something like Socket.io or Express just goes away out of existence? What if something better comes into play? Or what if you want to work on a project that doesn't use these? Maybe it uses Nest, which is another popular Node.js framework like Express. If you don't know the fundamentals, you're really going to struggle picking another thing up. You just learned how to use a tool. You just learned how to use a pencil, for example. You haven't learned how to draw more specifically. But if you teach yourself the fundamentals and understand them, you could just pick a tool up, read the documentation, and tell yourself that, hey, it's even better, I'm going to use this one from now on, instead of panicking whenever new things come around and the current tools you use become a legacy. So that's what this course intends to teach you, the Node.js itself and the core concepts. We won't learn about Express, Nest, or any other packages of that matter, although we will take a look at some of their source code. It's just Node.js at its core level, and we're really going to understand how things work. If you're telling yourself, should I learn Node.js or Golang? or Java and its framework Spring, for example, or Python, well, you just have to ask yourself, do you want to learn software engineering, or do you want to pick something for your project and time is of the essence, and you have to start as soon as possible? Well, I'm not going to talk about the latter right now, but if you want to learn, my advice would be just pick one up and truly learn it in depth and master the fundamentals of backend engineering. And also, complement your knowledge with a low-level programming language like C and C++. It would be great to pick Node.js and C++ and stick with them and try to understand the fundamentals of software engineering and backend engineering. You'll also see that the knowledge of C++ is listed in some of the job postings out there in Node, although not all of them. And the reason is Node.js itself is written in C++, and you could enhance and add new features to it. C++ is a very powerful language, and it's actually the fastest programming language out there. And you have lots of control with it. Anything you want to create, it's possible to do that with this language. Even though it's not always the fastest way. And there's more than one reason why some of these Node.js job offerings also require the applicants to know C++. There are many great reasons why. Not only it's because Node.js source code and V8, the JavaScript engine themselves, are written in C++, and knowing it will allow you to read their source code and understand how things work and open up new doors. But also, learning C++ could teach you a lot of core concepts of computer science, like object-oriented programming, multi-threading, memory management, dealing with operating systems, dealing with hardware, and so much more. So C++ is also involved in this course, but you don't have to know it to be able to understand and follow along with the course. I highly recommend learning it, but it's not mandatory for this course, and I teach you all that you need to know. We'll talk more about that in the next video. So stick with Node.js and C++ and keep learning the fundamentals. I guarantee you that you'll see a huge improvement in your software development skills in just a very short amount of time. Actually, that short amount of time would be a couple of months or maybe a year or two, but it's much more effective than if you keep getting yourself trapped by these temporary development trends that constantly come and go. Learn and master the fundamentals of backend and software engineering, and you would be able to just pick tools up as you go and be able to create great software with them. Maybe then you want to use Golang or Java or any other thing. It's going to be much more easier. Alright, let's embark on this journey and start learning. We have a lot to talk about. Hope to see you on site.